Welcome everybody to the best business plan ever. This is based on my nearly 29 years experience starting companies from scratch. Was the first one with no money, then of course I had some money. The important thing about this video is that I've started businesses in different sectors, different types of businesses. So I went from import-export of fish and then water purification products and distribution of frozen foods. Then I went into freelancing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why is that important? Is because it's easy to find people who've had the one-hit wonder. They've been successful in one business their entire career, but they haven't shown that they could do it in different industries or different businesses. It's not unusual to hear about business owners who've had success in one business, they sell it, make a bunch of money, then they go into another type of business and then it just goes, it crashes. Very, very common. Because first rule of business to recognize is that there is an element of luck in every type of business. You have to understand that. And once you understand that and embrace that, accept that, then you set up your business practices, your strategies to mitigate for the fact or to compensate for the fact that there is luck involved. So you have to keep yourself alive, business-wise, so that you can set yourself up for those lucky opportunities, just like fishing. Great fishermen will typically outfish an amateur, because they know how to play the line, they know what bait to use, what lures to use, what depth to go at depending on the time of the year, the species of fish that they're going after. But at the end of the day, a fisherman still requires luck with the fish bite. Same thing in business, it's a perfect analogy. All right, that being said, let's get into the best business plan ever you're ever gonna hear. Number one, you want to go in fast. In business, you want to get your product, your service, your web app, your new restaurant, you want to get it out as quickly, as humanly as possible. You want to get it out fast. Why do you want to get it out fast? Because you need to get the product into the hands of your prospective clients as soon as possible so you can start getting feedback. It's a fantasy to think that you're going to come up with the perfect product on day one. Business is an iterative process. It's a process of refinement, feedback, more refinement, feedback, more refinement, et cetera, et cetera. With one of my current businesses is the Studio Web business, which is an app used by schools to teach people how to code. It's taken several years of refinement to get it to where it is today, based on hundreds of thousands of students using it, many schools, getting feedback from teachers, analyzing statistics from the students, making changes. We're about to release version 4 of Studio Web, and it takes into account everything we've learned over the last 6-7 years. And we're building a refined code base, finally, based on all that experience, that takes into account everything we've learned. But that's just the way it goes. Rule number 2 in business, go hard. You gotta move fast, but you also gotta go in there hard, meaning you can't be passive about it. You gotta get it out there quick. You gotta push, you gotta push, you gotta push, you gotta push, you gotta go hard. And number 3 is you gotta go cheap. You gotta go cheap. When you first come out with your first iteration of a product or a service, the first products you come out with have to be done on the cheap. You have to preserve your capital. Cash capital is the lifeblood of any business, and when you're first starting up, you're probably not going to have much cash flow, so you have to be very cheap and you got to get stuff out there. So in the case of software development, you have to really just get a minimum viable product, as they say in the startup world. So don't try to perfect your code base. Don't try to perfect the UI. Don't try to perfect, just get it good enough to get it into the hands of people so you can start getting that feedback. Why shouldn't you perfect things? Because chances are, well, 99% chance you're going to have to tear down a lot of the ideas and a lot of things that you built based on people's input. So, for instance, did the same thing with Studio Web. We built the prototype based on just my ideas. We released the first prototype, started picking up a few schools, and then we started getting the feedback. I would say that we've preserved maybe 55, 60% of the original Studio Web app. And over the years, because of all the refinements that we had to make in terms of the curriculum, a complete change in the curriculum. Subject matter is the same and expanded upon, but a total change in the way in which the content was delivered in many respects. Again, based on user feedback. So if you spend too much time trying to refine a product in anticipation of that you've produced a perfect product without feedback, you're probably going to go bankrupt. What brings companies to bankruptcy is just a lack of money. A lack of money, a lack of runway. The money is the runway. So preserve that money by going cheap. So the three principles or the three rules of the best business plan ever is you go in there fast, you go hard, and you go cheap, and you iterate. I hope that helps. Ciao.